Okay, well, you did mention the Doobie Brothers, so tell me how did you choose Long Train Running for this and
That one was
this,
hard.
this is the first cut. Play it on, boom, Long Train Running.
That was hard.
Yeah.
And let me give you an example. When Lynn, our manager slash record label, heard that we had toured with the band on their last tour, Levon Helm and Robbie Robertson and everybody, he said, "Oh, that's great. You can do Up on Cripple Creek." And I went, "No friggin' way." Levon Helm is the only guy that should sing that song. You know, there's a certain amount of you have to pick the songs carefully.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know which Heart song to pick, and I didn't know which Doobie Brothers song to pick. Because we got to know the Doobies really well after the Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers of the 70s. And the other thing I'll say before I directly answer your question is some of those songs we cut just like the original, like Dan Fogelberg, Part of the Plan. That one's, but it doesn't sound like Dan's version because it's a different singer, it's different guitars, it's this, it's that, but when it came time to play the solo on Part of the Plan, I thought, I'm going to just learn Dan's solo. That's what people expect, and it was great. We have songs like that on the record that are similar in arrangement and stuff to the original, although they don't really sound like the original totally. And then there's songs like the Doobie Brothers song, which we took some liberties with. Now, what I did, somebody suggested at one point, hey, you can listen to the music. And I went, no. That's their signature song. Nobody, it's like, and that guitar lick is like, no. And we had it down to 3 or 4. And when Long Train Running kept being suggested to me as the guy with the final vote, I kind of really listened to that. And what I thought was, now Tommy Johnson's original, that's the classic Doobie Brother thing. And in the back of my mind, I knew that no matter which song we picked, probably thousands of Doobie Brothers fans are going to be pissed off. How dare they play my favorite song? That kind of deal. But when I listened to the original version, there's a second guitar part that isn't as prominent as the first one that Tommy Johnson plays. And I kind of went, well, that's a cool part. And I made that second guitar part be the feature of our song. And I brought in the signature number 1 part on the Doobie song. It's in there and it plays a big role, but it's a little lessened, and I wanted to feature that other thing. And I really thought maybe that could be a guitar sax line to start the song. And we just started going with it. We put it in a different key because, if it would have been in the same key, it would have sounded more like the original. So we put it down. John Basaha, our new lead vocalist, said, "Oh yeah, that's perfect key," and it's a little lower for him. But and I truthfully, I did not know if my production experimentation on Firefall's version of that was up to snuff or not. And then when people started telling me, including our manager, that's great. That's great. Oh, I love it. In fact, Lynn said, that's got to start the record. And that's the first single. And I went, you're kidding me. He says, no. And he's looking at Spotify, of course, which I know nothing about, being a 70s guy. Spotify, the biggest song that got the biggest numbers out of all those songs that we picked, Long Train Running has the biggest numbers. And he's saying, we're putting that out first. And I went, well, if you really think so. And I mean, I really like our version and it's different. And, and my guitar solo on that, whenever I played these songs and I was playing a guitar solo played by Toy Caldwell of Marshall Tucker, who I got to know, or Randy California on Spirit, who I got to know. And I never really got to know the Leonard Skinner guitar players, but they were the badass kickers, of that whole era, and so I wanted to really pay homage to the kind of the style that they played. Other than the Dan Fogelberg song and I Got a Line on You by Spirit, I just played my own solos, but on the Toy Caldwell stuff, I was playing for Toy, and it was great. And on the Doobie Brothers song, they got great, great guitar players, and I love Pat Simmons. He's been a friend of mine for 40 years, and who knows what they will think of our version, but I knew that every one of these versions that we made of different songs, had to make as good as we could and keep it simple and let the songs speak and the singers speak and not add a lot of other production stuff and keep it pretty simple, because what this album is doing is honoring those bands and those writers and singers, and honoring the 60s and 70s that Firefall played a small role in back in the 70s. I mean, God, for us to be able to tour with as many people as I've just named, it was incredible.
Right.
Unbelievable.
So we should say the name of the album is called Friends and Family. And I like the concept of, I don't think we mentioned the name of the album before, but I really like the concept of Friends and Family, because I think I read a quote from you. You said that they're friends, they're bands that you toured with, but also family, in that the Firefall band members that actually played with some of the bands,
right,
of the songs that you covered. So it is literally friends and family.
And I got a scoop for you. The idea is so great that we're going to do a Friends and Family 2.
Oh, very nice.
And we're picking songs and recording now, even before this album came out. It was funny how it happened, because Lynn said, Doobie Brothers song, Long Train Running, that's the first single and it starts the record. And after, as an artist, you make the best record you can, then you turn it into the label. And after that, it's like they got control of everything. We don't like that picture, send us a new picture. And Lynn, it was going to be the first single. And then about a month or two in, he changed his mind and said, no, we're going to release Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd, your version of it, that John Bissaha sings great. And I really like my guitar solos on that song. And we're going to put that out first, and we'll put the Doobie Brothers song out second, right before the album gets released. And I said to Lynn, well, okay, that's great, but Long Train Run, I'm not Long Train Run, I'm sorry. Simple Man is like 6.5 minutes long. That's not going to get any radio play. And he says, this isn't about radio. This is about Spotify and Amazon and downloads. I went, okay, I'm the guitar player.